It is time to get after it. And it is Friday, and it is also a leg day. And I'm hoping that everything I want to use at the gym is available to me. Sometimes the gym on a Friday is a hit or miss. I don't know if it's just for me or if it's just my specific gym. So we'll see. I got an appointment with the Smith machine. I'm going to try to do 4.5 plates yet again. I'm going to try to beat 5 reps per side. Now, this isn't my typical beat the logbook. I don't normally do that. But what I do is I'll generally pick certain movements for specific days. And usually the first one, or the big lift, is the one that I'm really trying to improve on. Because I do think you have to have some form of metric of improvement in order to gauge whether or not you are improving. There are metrics like getting bigger, having your clothes fitting differently, the scale, etc. But another one is if your lifts are consistently going up and your form is staying relatively smooth for the most part. And don't get locked into, just one form of improvement. If you get too attached to the scale going up or down, or your weight, your movements going up, it can really circle or turn into a bad thought process, because if one thing isn't moving, you're going to tend to think that you're just not making any improvements at all. And that mindset can lead into a spiral of bad behaviors. I speak from personal experience on this one. Definitely have a few forms of ways. That was a really bad way to say that. Have multiple ways to track progress. Because if you lock into one, you're just going to kind of feel defeated. And, if you're getting stronger, odds are you're most likely building some kind of muscle. And that is just very important, especially when you get into the later years of training, like 5+, and you're not going to see lots of growth from month to month or even on a yearly basis. You just have to trust the process and believe that everything you're doing is going to lead to gains. And that's really how it works. I think a lot of people in the beginning, when they're first starting out, they don't have raw data to use over that experienced lifters have from experience to look back on. You just have to gather information and apply it in a consistent, smart way. And you kind of learn the smart way by just trying things and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And something that you feel like is working for you right now could be the completely wrong way to do it. But if it's getting you results, you should do it until you find something better. Unless you're literally just, snapping your joints or tearing your muscles apart. There's indicators on whether or not you're doing something right or wrong. So pay attention to those and stick to the process. Eat your meals consistently. Get consistent sleep. Drink your water. Do your cardio. Don't skip gym sessions. And you will make gains. It's not a matter of if, but when. And there's a lot of people out there that, you hear, oh, I'm a hard gainer. I don't gain any weight. I eat so much food. You have no idea how much food I eat. Believe me, I do. You weigh 140 pounds. I know how much food you're eating, and it's not as much as you think you're eating. You're not the exception to the law of thermodynamics. I hate to be the bearer of bad news on this one, but you got to do it consistently. I think any dude can slam a full pizza with a side of cheese sticks and a Ben & Jerry's. That's easy. And that right there, that's like 4,500 calories. I could down that in one sitting. And I have no doubt that most of you guys could do the same. But then the next day, your appetite is shot and you have no way to recover from that much volume of food, because whether or not you did it across the whole day or in one sitting, if your body is not used to taking in 4,500 calories a day, let's say, I don't know the math on how many calories it takes to maintain 140 pounds, but it's probably not 4,500 calories unless you're 8 feet tall. And if you're 8 feet tall and 140 pounds, you're probably not alive. You need to slowly increase the food over time, and you need to let your body adjust to the caloric intake. You're not just going to all of a sudden start being able to throw down tons and tons of food. And I get the frustration, you want to gain muscle as fast as possible, but unfortunately there is a threshold. And once you go past the threshold of building muscle, you start adding fat. Because I'm going to blow your minds right here. Food is energy. And once it goes in your body, you either use it or you store it. And once you go past your usable energy, you're going to store it as fat. And this is why you need to do your cardio and why you can't skip your workouts. Because you're trying to break down muscle so that when you intake food, the energy, it goes towards fueling, growing your muscles. So it takes a long time. And you also can't look at it from the perspective of, oh man, Billy Bob Swole said that he's been training for 15 years and he's 277 pounds, shredded, 5% body fat. 15 years, I don't know if I can do this for 15 years. If you're thinking about 15 years, you might not think that this is happening, but you're thinking about doing 15 years of work in 3 months. So you need to start thinking from the day to day, week to week, month to month, and you need to zoom in on your goals. There's definitely times when you need to zoom out and have a bigger vision of where you want to go. But once you have that vision of where you want to go, you have your goal. You have your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal. What are you going to do today, this week, this month, this year? That is much more achievable than thinking of 15 years of work, because the processes that you're going to do from years 1 to 5 will be different from years 5 to 10 and 10 to 15. So break it down and enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy it, if you're thinking, man, these first 14 years are going to suck, but year 15, that's going to be my year. I guarantee you're not making it to year 15. And if you make it to year 15, you're going to hate it. And by the time year 15 is done, you're going to quit. And, if you get there and you want to quit and you just want to say that you did it so you can say it, fantastic, you did it, good job. But I'm trying to do this for as long as I can, for as healthy as I can. I still want to enjoy life. You're never going to get there by, oh man, I eat 7,000 calories a day. Yeah, I believe you ate 7,000 calories in a day, but are you eating 7,000 calories a day for 7 days a week for 12 months? No, you're not. So, just apply what I said and you will grow. Zoom in, lock in, come up with some metric of progression for yourself. You don't even have to invent it. It's already there for you. Are you progressing in the gym? Are you eating your food? Are you consistently increasing your caloric intake and staying at a moderate body fat? Are you sleeping? Are you getting your water in? Those are the most important. And are you doing your cardio? Don't skip cardio. I'll save the cardio rant for another video. Believe me, it's coming. And once you hear it, you're going to skip. But for those of you that are serious, you're going to sit and listen. Because once I started doing my cardio, it was a game changer. But for now, we're going to crush some legs. Starting today's leg workout with alternating leg curls. I'm doing 50 pounds per side here, and it's a decent amount of weight on this machine. So I decided to go in, do 5 on one side, 5 on the other side, and alternate back and forth just like that. This is a really good way to overload a movement, breaking up the reps instead of just trying to do a straight set. So next time I come in and do these, possibly on my next hamstring day, we'll see if I can do 6 to 8 reps straight with 50 pounds on each side. And this just feeds into what I was talking about with different ways of measuring improvement. It doesn't always have to be one way. You can improve many different ways in different movements. It doesn't have to be an extra rep or two on a straight set. It can be adding in a drop set, doing a rest pause, alternating. Especially when you are doing one leg or one arm at a time, doing alternating sets like this with heavier weight can really be beneficial, because while you're doing one side, the other side is resting, but it's not going to be fully recovered by the time you hit the other side. So you are getting progressive overload. You're doing more weight on one side than you normally would. You're just accumulating the volume over a longer period of time while breaking up the amount of tension applied to the muscle. Give it a shot if you haven't done these before. I really like them. It's a good technique to use, and I haven't been using it too much, and I think I'm going to use it a little bit more moving forward. So finishing off the last few reps here on this side, and then moving on to the first set of belt squats. Smith machine was unfortunately being used, so had to come over to the belt squat, which is just fine. I have 10 plates per side here. My only complaint with the belt squat is that you do have to load up quite a few plates in order to get a decent amount of tension. I will say, if you're using a belt squat and you're using the pins that are closer towards the wall there, aka further away from the weight, you are making the movement easier for yourself, because you're not having to lift up as much weight due to the implement being further away from the point of rotation. So don't fool yourself. You're not really strong. Go closer towards the weight with the pin, and you will be stronger in the long run. You will make more gains. You'll spend less time loading up plates on the belt squat. But regardless, great substitution for squatting deep and ass to grass. Really good quad burn on these. Only got 2 sets on this set here. I dropped it down to 8 plates per side and got 12 reps. And if you weren't counting, the first set was for 7, and these are feeling really good. So if I can't get on the Smith machine, I'll probably come over to the belt squat, because it doesn't really hurt my knees too much and it works just fine. So things are moving along very well over here, and then we're going to move on to some lying leg curls. I've really been liking this style of rotating between quad movement, hamstring movement, quad movement, although it's been more hamstring quad, just because I think all quad movements are enhanced if your hamstrings are already pumped and just your legs are warm and ready to go. But the way I've been doing it is hitting quads and hams on the same day, just having more of a focus on one rather than the other. So this workout was a little bit lighter on the hamstrings than the quads, because I did have the heavy squats in there. Whereas if it was a hamstring focused day, I would have had some kind of hinging movement or a heavy hinge, like a machine good morning or a barbell Romanian deadlift, something like that. So I just kind of started doing it this way because splitting up hamstrings and quads was kind of taking away from a lot of other things in the gym. And I think if you need to isolate one in order to bring it up to the level of the other one, that is important, and you definitely should. But now that my legs are in a good spot, I feel like I have the necessary info and input to get a great workout to hit both of them at the same time. and splitting up the volume just allows me to go heavier each workout rather than having to have heavier days or lighter days, just because if I'm training one at a time, I'm throwing so much volume at it at once, it just takes such a long time to recover that it would affect the other muscle in the leg. So quads would affect hamstrings. You get what I'm saying. Then I moved over, did 1 set of the single leg Bulgarian split squats. I guess that's the only way to do split squats. Haha. Did them on the Smith machine. Really like these. Got 2 plates on each side here. Only ended up doing 1 set. I was thinking about doing 2, but I got such a good quad pump from this that I decided to call it at 1. And really, since you're doing 1 leg at a time, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. Now, if it was a hamstring day, this would probably be my main quad movement, in which case I would do more than 1 set. But because of the belt squats, my quads were already on fire, so didn't need to do much extra here. And then we're going to move on to some leg extensions. Now on this machine here, I did have the seat too far forward on this set. I'm still getting used to the settings that I like to use, but I'm putting this pad in front of my shins just so I can get a little bit more range of motion. Because the seat was a little far forward, the range of motion was cut a little bit short, but on the following set, I do move the seat back. So I am able to get a lot more quad extension than I would if the pad wasn't there. I do want to get one of those pads. I can't remember the brand, unfortunately, but I've been seeing it all over Instagram. It's like a very thick pad specifically designed to go around leg extension or hamstring curl pads and can increase the range of motion by about 3 inches, which is absolutely massive. Probably the only instance in which 3 inches is a massive improvement. But regardless, these felt really good. Almost full stacked it, but the quads were on fire at this point in the workout, and I did finish with a drop set here. Quads are looking very big at this point. I'm very happy with the growth that I've been seeing, and it just goes to show you have to push yourself in every single workout. For a while, I kind of got locked into the mindset of training strictly for mind-muscle connection and wasn't really pushing myself beyond my limits. I was still getting a good burn, I was still getting sore, but there's something that happens when you actually push strength boundaries and you're trying to lift new weight. I just think that the stimulus of exposing yourself to higher loads can be very underappreciated, especially in bodybuilding. It can get to a point where you start to get a little crazy and you do have to learn how to utilize weight better and just more efficiently. But that's going to come with time. And in order to use higher reps more efficiently, you have to progressive overload at some point. And progressing with strict form can be very difficult. And I know people like to talk about micro loading. That's just such a bland way to train for me. If I train like that, I would just lose interest completely. Adding 2.5 pounds every week. That if that works for you, great. That's just not how I want to train. I would rather throw a little bit of body English in there and throw up some cool numbers. But finishing the workout with some seated calf raises, just kind of doing some partials here, but no pose down for the day. That's gonna do it. Thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you when I see you.